Happy Valentine's month, everybody. I'm the Sliders Review, and I'm here today to share with you some of my favorite Valentine's Day episodes from TV shows or even movies. Not everything is all lovey-dovey. Sometimes Valentine's Days deal with heartache and everything. So, some episodes will be romantic and lovey-dovey, while others will be very sad and heart-wrenching and stuff. But love is love. It doesn't always come with smiles and giggles and glee. So, I'm here today to talk to you about When in Vegas. This movie came out in 2008 and it's a romance comedy. For some bizarre reason, I feel like I watched this when I was in college, but that can't be because I wasn't in college in 2008. I think I saw this in the movie theater. And for the most part, it's a pretty okay comedy movie. It's not like the greatest comedy romance, but it's something you can watch around Valentine's Day and be entertained for the most part. Sadly, however, even though this movie made its budget it made back its budget like in a very, very huge way, but it bombed and everything. In terms of critics did not like this movie. It got tons of negative reviews and it got nominated for 2 Razzies, which Paris Hilton ended up winning. The movie stars Cameron Diaz and Ashton Kutcher. And one of the reasons why people didn't like this movie is because they felt those two did not have any chemistry. I can concur to a certain degree. For the most part, it's weird. This movie has your generic, plot line. Two people who are polar opposites, they come into contact with each other, they can't stand each other, and then something happens that causes them to have to be together. And so they have to make their relationship work, but they can't because they can't get along. Then towards the end of the movie, they end up falling in love with each other. Generic. Only problem is, for me, the first half of this movie can't nobody act. And I love Cameron Diaz. She's one of my favorite, you know what I'm saying? But everybody in the first 30 minutes or so, acting is really, really off. They're overdoing the acting, trying to be super, super funny, and it's not coming off very realistic. It's very artificial and everything. By the time the couple has to go to their first counseling, then everybody in the movie can act again, and everybody's doing a really good job, like real actors and actresses. I don't know what the world happened in the first 30 minutes, but when you watch the first 30 minutes, it's very unbearable. And for the most part, Ashton Kutcher is a very funny person, in That So 70s show and Dude, Where's My Car? However, when it comes to comedy, he is very one note. He's very obnoxious, very loud, very crude, and very boastery and stuff. And it comes off a lot in this movie. He can't act very well. When it comes to the serious stuff towards the end of the movie, I could not feel it because he's not properly trained to act that way. Basically, he acts the same way he does in every comedy type movie, like I said before. And so that would help cause him and Cameron not to really have no chemistry together. Also, what brought them together really makes no sense because throughout the entire movie, they can't stand each other. But then around the last 10, 15 minutes, all of a sudden they're coming around and they're falling madly in love with each other. And it did not feel real because it did not feel earned because it should have been sprinkled all throughout the movie. But it's not because they argue all throughout the movie. It would have been better if they just would have stayed broken up. Now, because they are polar opposites, her character is very micromanageable and everything. She likes to plan everything to a T, and she likes to plan things that she's gonna plan out. So it's weird. So say there's her fiance early in the beginning of the movie. She's planning a birthday party, right? She will plan the birthday party out to a T, but then she will make arrangements to start planning for the birthday party. That is how she is. So she is very uptight in everything. Him, on the other hand, he is a huge slacker and stuff. He just doesn't care. He lives life to the fullest. He is a wild child. So, of course, they end up bringing the best out of each other, but you really don't feel it because they really don't really truly teach each other a lesson throughout the movie. It's just they find their life lessons really on their own, kinda. And cause see, she needs to be. See, her fiance doesn't like how she plans everything so much, so he breaks up with her while all the friends are like hiding and stuff. Cause he says she's suffocating him and she lives for him, so he kicks her out. So now she's homeless. She has an amazing job at the stock market, and so she's competing for like a promotion with this other person. And so, like, but now she has to find a place to stay. But she decides she's gonna head out to Vegas and just live it up, you know? Her name is Joy, by the way. Jack is the Ashton Kutcher character. He works for his father at a woodshop company, but he slacks off way too much where his father ends up firing him. And his father never has any hope for him and everything. Like, he always has to second guess his work and stuff like that because the dude is a huge slacker. Basically, every comedy version this dude's ever played in. So he wants to go to Vegas and live it up. This is where all the overacting starts to happen. And when Ashton Kutcher is feeling too happy, his acting just goes off the rails and everything. But then so did Cameron, oddly enough, in this movie. And like I said, those first couple of minutes did not feel right for anybody, even the supporting cast and stuff. So they end up getting the same room by mistake. And so after like a huge disagreement with them smacking each other around, they go to the front desk to try to get like better rooms and a discount, stuff like that. So she ends up getting better rooms and some passes here and there. But his character, who always plays the same, he's supposed to be the tall, good-looking dude who can sway anybody. He ends up getting VIP passes to like everything. So him, his best friend, her, and her best friend, they all hang out. The two best friends can't get along. They hate each other. Basically, they get drunk and they start spilling to each other. And this is the part that did not feel real. They did not have no chemistry and stuff. They should have found somebody different to play it. But I do get why they wanted him to play this role, because he's basically just playing himself. However you saw him on that 70s show, however you saw him in Punk'd, this is how he acts and everything. And so like they get drunk, they end up getting married. She wakes up with a hangover, and they all like, let's just like get a divorce, this and that. So they both break up with each other, but she gets offended when he breaks up with her twice. And so this causes her to give him a quarter, and he puts it in a slot machine, and boom, $3 million. Like they get like a $3 million check. But of course they fight over it. And so they go to court. And so the judge, played by Dennis Miller, he tells them he's sick and tired of all. This is what's so weird. How old exactly are they in this movie? Let's see. She is 50, he is 45. They was around their late 20s, early 30s and stuff. And he's all like, I hate your horrid generation with like your internet and your this and your that. And so he forces them to stay married for like 6 months, and to see if they can actually, end up liking each other. And then he'll reward the money to both of them, split it in half. Now, that plot just sounds weird enough. He's forcing them to stay married and forcing them to love each other. However, judges can do things like that. Like, a judge can pretty much do anything they want. Like, I remember hearing a long time ago, Jennifer Lopez, she was married like 3 times in the past. And then when she got divorced for like the 3rd time, the judge told her, all right, look, you get married and divorced way too much, and you can't get married to a certain amount of like time passes. I believe that's what happened. Like, I'm pretty 100% sure that's what happened. I'm just like, dude, he told her she literally can't get married no more. And of course, when that time passed, she's allowed to get married again. So a judge can do something like that. But still, the plot is kind of weird because he's forcing a relationship on them. So this is where all the shenanigans happen and stuff, where they constantly have to live together, and she lives in his place. His place is a pigsty. Now this movie is cool for one thing. It introduced me to Kristen Ritter and everything. I had never seen her before, and I was amazed with how she looks. She is so like exotic. And so, but she has a small role in it. Pretty much every person in this movie has a teeny tiny role except for Cameron and Ashton. So basically, she has to live in his disgusting apartment. And he has like a Murphy bed. And so when she's getting ready in the morning, he has to pee. She won't let him in. And he's peeing in the sink. Basically, he is the grossest, nastiest person in the world. And he just sleeps around and stuff. Kristen Ritter's character is who he sleeps around with. And so they go to counseling. And the counselor is Queen Latifah. And this is when everybody's acting starts to get better. So now they're trying to be all like, wait, if you're unfaithful, I get the whole 3 mil and everything. So they're constantly recording each other, trying to like set each other up for like, you know, the fall. His friends beat him up, trying to say it's her. She records it. She invites a bunch of hot girls to his place, hoping that he will cheat. So in a way, all this goes on for over an hour or so. And so then they finally realize that she's going to get the one up on him. She calls his parents. And his parents are shocked to find out he is married, especially after how the dad just fired him. It's doing this that he gets so upset where he's all like, look, whatever you want, like, you know, you get it. Like, just leave my folks out of this, because he doesn't want the disappointment of his father, because that's all his father does, and that really hurts him and stuff. Now, he did a good job of portraying that. So she tells him plain and simple, like, because he took the toilet seat off and she fell in. He removed the bathroom door and everything. So she gets all that back, and the apartment gets cleaned up a little bit. And she starts to see how his dad, like, doubts him and everything. And that's the spark that started making her like him a little bit. So he wants revenge on her. And so he finds her engagement ring, and then he goes to her ex-fiance. They meet all up in the park. In the park, she finds something very interesting about Jack. He has a cousin who he helps like teach baseball to and stuff like that. And it shows he has a nicer side. This is weird because we've never seen this side of him before. So it would be nice if he was to keep this up, but he is still being persuaded by his best friend lawyer to, like, you know, sabotage the wedding and get the 3 mil and stuff. So when she invites him to like a job retreat, he is gonna force, like, you know, her to, like, you know, sign over the 3 million to him. But he ends up like wooing that of all her colleagues and stuff, especially her boss, played by Dennis Farnina, I think his name is. May he rest in peace. I think that's his name. And so like so she's all thrilled and happy, and now he is starting to fall in love with her, especially when he sees her little party trick. It's something she does in real life. She takes a wine bottle, a knife, and she busts the top off, and, like, you know, alcohol flies everywhere. It's a trick she does all the time, especially on Charlie's Angels and stuff. And so, like, which is something that's getting kind of annoying a bit, because this was around the time her movie career started to flounder a bit, and she was putting out bomb after bomb. She hasn't really acted since 2014, but she did something recently in 2020, but I'm not sure what that is, because she has retired from acting. After box office bomb after another, she just decided to quit, which is quite a shame, because she is actually really good and everything. but she's starting to become stuck in a rut. Ever since Charlie's Angels, I've noticed that like she doesn't play the dumb character no more. But in almost every movie she's in, she has some type of martial arts kickboxing like style and stuff when she be working out. And she's always doing her party trick, and then she becomes like the nagger in all these other movies and stuff. Basically, she acts like his mother. So once he like wooed her like boss and everything, now all of a sudden she's falling in love with him and wants to sleep with him, but he doesn't want to. And so like when she finds out that he contacted her ex-fiance, she has decided, you know what, I'm done with you. You take the 3 mil. I just want my divorce. Now the parents are in the courtroom too, and they should kind of figure out that hey, something weird is going on. This is kind of like a fake marriage. So basically, he's all like, oh, woe is me, and everything like that. His dad gives him a lecture talking about you let your wife go away and blah, blah, blah. And I'm proud of you for making this table and everything, but go get your wife. So now he's desperately looking for her. He finds her. She has now quit her job. Jack told her that he'd rather do absolutely nothing all day and slack off than to work at a job he absolutely hates. So now she has quit her job. But the weird thing is she seems to really love her job. So why in the world would she quit it? So she's at the beach walking around. He finds her and she's all like, you found me. And then they fall in love and get remarried again. But yet she's the one who got the final divorce and everything. So if she was just going to re-fall back in love with him, why in the world did she divorce him? So this is like the weird part of the writing. But the writing, the woman who wrote Cruella wrote this movie, so that kind of explains a little bit. Because I had some problem with the writing in that one. So it's like, it's an okay movie. It's cliche, but some things just don't happen and make a lot of sense. There's a lot of things in this movie that don't make sense. Like the obnoxious best friend lawyer. Everybody in this movie have weird names, nicknames. The best friend lawyer name is Hader. They don't even say his real name. They're looking like the end credits and stuff. Her best friend is Tipper. The boss name is Jack Banger. The judge is Judge Whopper and everything. And it's just like, they have all these like weird names. And Zachary Galifianakis, he's in this movie. Queen Latifah, Kristen Ritter, like all these people. And of course, when it starts studied cast, it ends up like flopping and stuff. And so, like, I think this could have been a really, really excellent movie if they would have had two stars that had like better chemistry with each. Oh, Lake Bell is in this movie too, which is weird because I hear her voice all the time on Harley Quinn, and she sounds nothing like she did a long time ago. And so like, and it's weird because I never really seen her that much because I only hear like her voice. But I think if they would have got like two stars that had better chemistry, find a leading male who can act a whole lot better, rework the story, because for the most part it's just a comedy, and it's like you go throughout the movie with them like hating each other, because like he even put caffeine tablets in her coffee and made her wired at work. And it's one comedy thing after another, but a lot of the jokes do not land, and because they don't never have time to breathe when they have to tell like a joke and everything. And some of the people here just aren't all that funny. And so like, if they would have done that better, if they would have made it more stuff in the movie to where they actually really do fall in love with each other. Because why did they end up liking each other for? She saw the nicer side of him, but only that one time, and she fell in love. Even though she's hot, he's never been into her and everything. But it's like, but why did he finally fall for her and stuff? She didn't really bring out the nicer side of him, because he always had a nicer side with his cousin Sammy. But like, so what really made him change and everything? And why would she quit her like fancy, very rich job and everything? Because it's like, Okay, yeah, the old saying is somewhat true. If you're working at some place you don't like, you probably should find someplace else. But don't just be unemployed. And that's what this movie is trying to teach people. And sometimes it's kind of like, you know how hard it is to find a job and keep a job? So it's kind of like you better suck it up and keep your job because it's putting food on the table and paying your rent and everything. There's a lot of people who have to get 2 and 3 jobs. And these people in the movie are just slacking off and quitting their job and everything. And that don't make no sense. What kind of life lesson is that trying to teach somebody? And so that was kind of weird at like the end and stuff. And then, like I said before, she divorced him because she was so pissed at him. But then when he looked all around town and found her, she like fell in love with him. And what's really weird is that Friends episode when they went to Vegas and got married and all that, that was a better episode than this entire movie and stuff. It was better paced, better written, better jokes, and had a better conclusion and stuff. Whereas this feels more like a TV movie or streaming movie, but it was an actual theatrical movie. Also, when you watch the movie, it has a weird grainy effect to it because they used digital film. This is back when the digital film stuff wasn't all that great. Kind of like the Daredevil movie and stuff. You can see that grain from the digital stuff in it, and it has a very dark like filter to it, which is kind of weird because it's supposed to be this big, like bright, sunny type movie. Now the montage of them trying to get to like the counselor's office and having to race through town and knocking each other down and stuff like that, that's really funny and stuff. And there are some things that do land, but it don't land that well because Ashton Kutcher kind of like overacts, you know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, like it's worth checking out. And I own it on DVD, but it's whenever I watch those first 30 minutes, I'm just like, God, I heard them get past to the good stuff. Now, wasn't that romantic or depressing, depending on what kind of video I just talked about? Okay, well, happy Valentine's Day, everybody, and bye.